Hello, everyone. I'm glad you could be with us today. We've got some very important and interesting things to tell you. And it's an exciting time to be in the DeFi space and to be working with a company like Nimbus. Of course, today I'll have Pedro Reyes, our internal auditor, also working with us on many important things. He'll be speaking about a few different subjects. And so let's get started. It's good to see you all again. And thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to join us. So at the beginning of the year, we made a commitment to provide quarterly updates to our community and users with different developments, updates, considerations. And so this stream is for Q3. We are, of course, doing this for the third quarter, which we are in. And before we start, let's talk about the global macro landscape. There are so many things going on. I'm sure a lot of people have felt it, both in traditional finance and in digital assets. So really what we have currently is central bank policies as they relate to equities and fixed income instruments. Basically the current market conditions indicate what we had known, but was proven really in the last quarter. The value of digital assets is directly tied to the liquidity available in the capital markets. So it's the same as equities, right? Fixed income is a little different, but that's for another day. This is our agenda, of course. We're going to have a lot of interesting things to talk to you about. One of them, most importantly, starting from the top, NFT Console. We've got Take It NFT. We'll talk about the new token, which is basically is a new traditional utility token, NIM, our governance token, and some changes that we're making. Hence, we'll be discussing the Nimbus DAO, the listing on centralized exchange, and the update in regard to our regulatory frameworks. Yes. So back to our introduction. Basically, the monetary policy tightening around the globe to lower liquidity and manage inflation, this is what they were trying to do, has essentially put us in an economic cycle that was an expected occurrence from 1913 to 1999. What essentially has changed really? Since 99, we have been out of cycle financially speaking, right? So due to low interest rates, traditional equities and digital assets all were affected by this. And we expect some significant trimming of the digital asset players from the B2B side. So this is where we see enormous opportunities for Nimbus Platform, right? And in times when companies with real products and real world utility are going to grow like value-based equities. And this is a great opportunity for us because we have real finance people working at Nimbus. And we're talking about individuals who understand global markets. It is a far cry from what was allowed to pass the last few years. And I'm sure that you know that, and that's why you're here. We consider our community to be one of the aspects of the organization that we're most proud of. So again, thank you for being here, and we're happy to talk to you about some very important things. Next slide, please. Yes, so NFT Console, what's important to know about this? Basically, we're talking about prime brokerage but for digital assets, right? So prime brokerage at Nimbus, at the Nimbus platform, is an institutional and private client offering, right? That seeks to meet users' trading and capital needs by providing absolute returns. So if you will, I'm going to get into a little bit of the details, and obviously you can read what's on the slide, but this is something that hasn't been done by anyone else out there. I've not seen it. And if you have, please let us know in the comments below. We always like to hear your comments. And of course, anything else that you'd like to share with us in terms of other content that you'd like to see, the formats, how we're doing things, and different aspects of the presentation. So we're happy to hear from you. Your communication with us is very important. So NFT Console, what are we talking about specifically? Prime brokerage is exclusively for institutional users who meet the definition of an accredited investor by the Kingdom of Bahrain, number one, the European Union, number two, and the United States. We're living in a world where this is now necessary. We have to consider the entire geography, and in fact, many different geographies when we're offering our services. So due to the sophisticated nature of console and prime brokerage products as a whole, non-KYC DeFi users or non-qualified users of Nimbus Platform may not have access to these products. So the minimum ticket for a qualified investor, institutional investor, is 100K. Now, to say $100,000 is actually a really good deal for a lot of people that, let's say, they would like to have a similar service at a traditional financial institution, but then you're talking about 500K, you're talking about 7 figures. We have now flattened the landscape where you're getting institutional grade services, and you fit maybe somewhere in between those categories. And we believe that this in between category is very important to our community, which is the reason why we do a lot of things. And I hope you understand that. So Console is the first prime brokerage product that we're offering, the first. So you should expect more, always expect more. And we already have users who are participating in this offering on the institutional side. As is our tradition, we are not simply talking about things that may happen in the future and could happen, or we would like them to happen. This is actually happening right now. How does it work? Once the NFT is minted, the deposited asset is distributed across several Nimbus platform functionalities, right? So we've got Nimbus soft staking, LP staking, smart staker NFT, very popular these days, and the lending DAO. And we're going to distribute them. So the assets are deposited into NFT Console and distributed according to the following strategy. This is very important. 50% of the liquidity is converted into NIM and GMBU tokens, with the proportion 28% NIM and 22 GMBU, 20% of the liquidity in Nimbus LP staking, and 20% in smart staker NFT. So then that leaves 10% of the liquidity that goes into the Nimbus lending DAO, right? And I think the lending DApp is really underrated. You know, it's a revolutionary thing that is very, let's say, beneficial to those who want to get involved. And it gives basically anyone who has the ability, has internet, a smartphone or device, laptop, what have you, to participate. And it's really exciting and interesting stuff. Terms and conditions, obviously, the NFT is vested for a period of 90 days. The user can burn it after that, or they can extend it for an additional 90 days. So not too much confusing stuff. The terms are not, you know, unusual or strange in any way. On the 5th day of every month, the NFT holder receives a report on how the underlying strategy has performed. This is really cool. Again, I don't see this elsewhere. And I think that we're really revolutionizing the industry. And later on, it's going to be very clear to people out there that we really did do things differently. And, you know, when you do things differently, and especially when you're the first, the rewards follow very soon after. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, nothing beats hard work, right? You can give me the most talented team in the world, right? But if I've got some hard workers with me, we'll beat them every time. So now, most talented and hardworking, perfect. But just to be clear. So basically for each console NFT, the percentage distribution of funds into different revenue streams may vary as decided by the active manager. So this is an active strategy. This is not a passive sort of, you know, mutual fund style thing where all of a sudden the macro backdrop changes and the strategy is not adaptable enough. And then someone ends up in the hole, you know, because people were asleep at the wheel. Yeah. Basically, we're not living in that kind of world anymore. That doesn't cut it anymore. And we would never offer something like that. We want to always stay on top of things. So a 3.5% platform fee is deducted from the supplied liquidity for the Nimbus platform. This is the cost of the product offering. So if you know basically some of the other offerings out there for any kind of managed funds or any kind of managed investment, obviously we are at the extreme low end of the scale, and we're happy to bring it to you at a very reasonable cost. It is at this point that it is my honor to turn over the mic and camera to our colleague, Pedro Reyes, internal auditor. Welcome, Pedro.
Thank you, Waseem. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing good. It's good to see you again. As Waseem has already said, I am Pedro Reyes, an internal auditor at Nimbus Platform. And here, what we are going to talk is about 4 topics. Okay, I'm going to talk about the TAKE IT NFT. I'm going to talk about the new products that are coming in the next 3 months. So the last quarter of 2022. And we are going to talk about the new version of the Nimbus utility token and the new version of the governance token. So let's jump into it. So if we talk about the TAKE IT NFT, TAKE IT NFT, it is a product that you have available right now for the affiliate program 4.1. And if you were a user of affiliate program 3.1, then you are eligible for using this product. Okay. So there is something important about this, about the TAKE IT NFT. The TAKE IT NFT, it is a product that is it is an structured product for MBU holders, which has basically 2 main goals. One is the burning of NFTs, and also the increase of the value of the remaining NFTs that we have in the market. So it is always a win-to-win for the users, and this, besides, the users will get, because this is how it works. If you have made deposit in the affiliate program 3.1, what we will do is we will take a snapshot of when did you make the deposit. We will take the price when you made the deposit, and once we have that prices of every single deposit that you have done, we are going to return that amount plus 10%, all in BUSD. Okay, this is important. And there is one more important concept that you have to know about this product, that of course you will have to assess whether or not it is good for you. The transfer of tokens and afterwards the minting of these tokens into TAKE IT NFT, there is no deadline for these 2 phases, right? So it's like we have first the phase of transferring the tokens. Afterwards, we have, from our side, we have the minting of the TAKE IT NFT, and afterwards, once you receive the TAKE IT NFT, you can redeem the token, the NFT, whenever you want. You can redeem immediately, and you will get that amount that you deposit plus 10%, all in BUSD. All right. I hope that this is clear for all the users, but in case it is not, we have our official channels. We have Telegram, Discord, Twitter, and now we have this YouTube channel, and I hope it is clear. But in case it is not, please go ahead to our channels, and just we will clarify all the questions that you have, of course. So let's talk about the next topic, which is new products. And can you go to the next slide, please? So let's slow down in this part of the presentation. And what about the new products? We are going to talk in this slide about the new products that are coming in Q4, okay, last 3 months of the year. And the first product that we are going to talk, it is peer-to-peer, okay? The first thing that you have to be aware is that, and you are already aware indeed, is that one of the main goals of Nimbus Platform is to bring what you will have in the traditional finance into the DeFi ecosystem. And what peer-to-peer is within the traditional finance, it is what is called block trades. Okay, so block trades, they are basically exchange between 2 parties where you have a person in the middle and you create these transactions out of the market. It is what it will be called like OTCs, okay, like over the counter. And this is what we are providing with the peer-to-peer, okay? Right now, the peer-to-peer is being audited. We will probably finish the audit like in mid-October, something like that. So probably by the end of this next month of October, we will have available NFTs within the peer-to-peer, all right? I think this is something quite important, and I wanted to give like an introduction of what it is this product in the traditional market and why we have done this product in the DeFi ecosystem. Okay, because with this we can provide services, we can make different kind of operations outside of the market, and this will benefit first the person or the institutional service that we are working with. It will benefit Nimbus Platform, and it will benefit also the final user, the normal user like you and me, right? Because all these transactions will take place outside of the market and will not have a direct impact in the price, either that be negative or positive. So there is some control over it, right? And the next thing is about the lending and borrowing DApp. We are going to, in the next 3 months, we are going to update the rates of this lending and borrowing DApp, and we will work with this together with a new NFT that will use this lending and borrowing DApp. And you know, I will probably I could be able here I could be in here talking about the new products that are coming in, because I have seen the roadmap for the next 3 years, and I can guarantee you you should stay tuned, because it's going to be very exciting. All the things that we are innovating, that we are working on, and all of it thanks to all the team, not just the technical team that we have, because as you can have already seen, the quality of the products that we are releasing, they are ever more better in terms of design, in terms of not having bugs, of course, and in general, the quality. And all of this is thanks to all the internal team that we have, the technical team, the marketing team, the support team, the legal and finance, all of them. So I just want to give a congratulations to all of them. Just from here, I think it is a good moment, and stay tuned for the next 3 months. Oh, and by the way, I know that right now, like I have seen, you know, because I see the chats of the community, and I have seen that it might be sometimes a problem to transfer your NFTs from one account to another. Don't worry, we're already working on that, and we will provide a product so you can be able to transfer your NFT tokens from one account to another without no such a problem like having to set up your MetaMask and all these kind of things that I have already seen in that you can see in the internet, that it is a bit complicated. So we will make it easy for you. Okay, yes, stay tuned. Okay, let's jump now to the next slide. Thank you. So we are going to talk now about the Nimbus utility token. I know there has been a lot of questions regarding why we are doing this, and okay, because there are like many topics to clarify in this regard. The first thing is that we have right now an MBU token. MBU is the utility token that we have right now in the platform. Okay, but we have been like kind of success in the in the demand of our tokens, and this has produced that we don't have enough to offer for like other actions to expand in other markets of the token. This is why we are creating the utility token of NIMB. Basically, what we are doing, and this is very important, let's clarify this point. The utility token of NIMB will not impact in the price of your utility tokens that you have right now. Let me explain to you. Right now, the utility token of NIMB, it has a total supply of 10 billion NIMB tokens, okay? But there is a difference between the total supply and the circulating supply. So let's say that right now, the NIMB token has a total supply of 10 billion, but it has a circulating supply of 0. So what we are going to do is that there will be a process of burning the tokens that we have right now of MBU, and we will pass all these MBU tokens. There will be a match of 1-to-1, one MBU, one NIM token. We will burn the tokens of MBU, and we will increase the circulating supply in the NIM token. So it will be equivalent one to the other, all right? And what you also have to know is that with this, what we are creating, it is not an inflationary system, but completely the opposite. We are creating a deflationary system, because at the same time that there are like three major factors, three major drivers, factors in all this process that we have regarding the NIM utility token. As you have already seen, we have we are going to address like 6 billion to centralized exchanges. It was that, yeah, 6 billion to centralized exchanges and 3 billion to institutional services and prime brokerage. So that means that we have 1 billion left. That 1 billion left is what we have right now in MBU. We have an MBU with a total supply of 1 billion. So what we will do is that at the same time that we are burning the tokens, we start burning the tokens and pass it to NIM utility tokens. At the same time, we are able, with the bigger supply that we have in the NIM utility token, we are able to go to centralized exchanges. We are able to do transactions with prime brokerage and institutional services. So all of this, together with the products that we already have in the platform, it will create the ecosystem for an increasing of the underlying asset, okay, of the value of the underlying asset. What we expect is that for this first, because right now you can get NIMP utility token if you are a user of the affiliate program, or if you are an institutional service. You can have these two options. Okay, right now you cannot you cannot get NIP utility token in the swap machine. Okay, so from 2 September to the end of November, you will have this. We will have this 90 days to make all this process. After that, we will have from 1st of December to end of February, something like that. I don't want to give exactly dates, but it will be something like that. We expect that in that time, December, January, and February, we will have most of the people we have already converted their tokens to NIMP utility token. What we are going to do is that we are going to make available a new tool that is going to be called the converter engine, that you will be able to move your tokens, to convert your tokens from MBU to NIMP utility token. Okay, and we expect that is going to happen like in the first 90 days. Most of it is going to be converted. Afterwards, you will have like 12-14 months in case someone didn't do it yet. All right, so that is basically what will happen. And once we have all this process finished, all the MBU utility tokens, they will be burned, and all of them will become that 1 billion that we have in the NIMP utility token. And at the same time that this process is happening, we will have different operations with the rest of the supply. Okay, so this is not going to impact in, this is not going to mean a dilution of the price that you have right now of your MBU tokens. Okay, so let's go to the next one. That's it. Okay, thank you. And again, I would like to make it clear, one MBU will be always equals to one NIM token. Okay, and if you want further explanations, we can give it, but I think it's pretty clear here, right? And for the normal user. So let's jump to the last topic, which is the new governance token. This is very simple, as you already know. And in the last months, we have one single issue with we have one bug in the Nimbus governance token, which was related to the delegation of votes. those users that delegated their votes to another user, they were impacted by this bug. What we are going to do is that we are going to launch, we're going to deploy a new version of the governance token. And we are not going to change anything except we are going to fix that bug. And this is very important because in the next months and the next year, we will start with the building of the decentralized autonomous organization. And of course, we cannot keep this bug within the current version of the GMBU. All this process that we have right now, you will be notified through the Telegram chats, through Twitter, about all the different steps for the NIMP utility token transition and the new version of the governance token transition. But basically what you can expect is that we will deprecate it progressively. We will deprecate it, the dApps that we have right now, that they are working with MBU and GMBU, and we will launch all these dApps, but with the new tokens NIMP and the new version of the governance token. Okay, so this process will, I don't have exact dates when this will happen, but in the next months we will start moving this around, and just stay tuned to the channels so you can keep up with the rhythm of the different transitions that we have for the NIMP utility token and the GMBU token. But don't worry, it will be very easy. Okay, so that's it for me. And I think now I give the room back to our dear Waseem.
Thank you, Pedro. Appreciate it. Excellent work. Thank you. So basically what we have for you today is something that we've been working on for a very long time, as you know, and something that is near and dear to everyone's heart in the true DeFi community. And let's just quickly talk about why Nimbus DAO is such a big deal. You know, decentralized finance, if you think about the term, how much of it actually applies, especially today, right? How much of it is still decentralized? And do we still want it decentralized? And is it truly decentralized? Did you know that after the merge, only a few nodes were running probably 50% of the ETH network? So when we say decentralized, first of all, that needs consideration. Then when we say finance, right? What is finance really? We have actual members of the financial community working with us. Obviously, you can tell by the way we communicate with you and the types of products we are offering and the innovation in the financial sector that we are basically pioneering as a DeFi company. We're taking a totally different approach. And the Nimbus DAO now, what has come into being, this has been recreated, if you will, to assure that everyone gets a chance to participate. What does that actually mean? Well, starting from the top, looking right at the slide, right? We have Pedro Reyes is with us today in the stream for a very good reason. He is heading up our internal audit function. And so he is a key DAO participant, which is really, really important because think about it. Who's really representing the rights and privileges that all the members of the community should be enjoying? It's the internal auditor, and the function of the internal auditor is a very big deal. And then you've got yourselves and others out there who are governance token holders, and some of us, many of us. And so what are we going to use it for? There are a number of use cases. By the way, this slide is extremely simplified. However, if we talk about 4 of the major ones, right? We've got creating a proposal. You can make changes to the existing dApps, simple. You can offer new functionality on the platform. Sounds simple, but wait a minute, there's more. There's more to it. So when we just take the changes to the dApps and the functionality on the platform, I mean, really, that's a lot right there in that first of the 4. And these are only 4 cases that we're sharing. We have multiple use cases that we've already looked at and different scenarios to make sure that the DAO stands up and actually delivers exactly what we want to the community, to you. So you can also vote for a proposal or delegate votes. You can do it yourself, or you can delegate your votes to someone else. So the majority of participants will vote in agreement, agree to a certain proposal, a referendum, if you will, and it will either pass or fail. Very simple, but also this is true democracy, right? And we're talking about democracy in a system, on a platform where you invest as much as you think you want to, time and effort and so on, and you actually come back with a lot of rewards that are going to change, I think, the way people look at DeFi after this point, right? So voting on a proposal, delegating votes, very big piece. Internal audit and external audit, we just talked about that at the top. Key participant, internal auditor. And so before implementation, each proposal must be audited by internal and external auditors. We've already had 5 or so different firms do audits of our smart contracts and DApps. So this is something we're already doing, but this individual risk management item will also be part of the Nimbus DAO package. And implementation. If the proposed functionality or decision has successfully passed the audit, then it will be passed to implementation. Here we come to an important a stage where at this juncture, we want to remind you that there is, as there usually is, a contest today that we're asking you to participate in. It is one of a kind, and there will be more details at the end. I should have mentioned this at the top, but I'm just telling you now so you don't miss it. Wait till the end and you'll hear about the contest. It's very, very interesting. So centralized exchanges, listing on a centralized exchange. What are we talking about here? According to the roadmap, right, NIM now, after we transition from MBU, will be listed at the beginning of December 2022. And, right, GMBU, and obviously the name, we will finalize that, and it might be part of the contest, close to the end of December as well. So, Feliz Navidad. It's going to be a nice Christmas. We're currently under discussion with different exchanges, obviously, to bring out the most attractive and rewarding opportunities for our users and community. You know, listing on a centralized exchange is not as simple as one might think, and we've had different experiences with that. So although we have a rather simplified slide for you, because obviously we don't want to complicate it also more than it needs to be, it's actually not that simple. And so we're taking a very careful approach, and I think you'll appreciate it, because one of the reasons we're moving to centralized exchange model is because of what happens on some of the DEXs, right? And you've got all kinds of bots out there and things. And honestly, it's part of the reason why a lot of projects are not getting the valuation that they deserve. And we think that could be a big hint. We think that things will change dramatically as we make this transition, and it will be extremely beneficial to users, community members, and holders. So next slide, please. Yeah, so updating you on the regulatory frameworks. Basically, we are grateful, of course, to be hosted in the Kingdom of Bahrain. We are the first DeFi company that has gone through such a transition and is working in a jurisdiction where you have a central bank actually monitoring the industry. How many DeFi companies out there and how many, let's say, crypto projects out there are operating still in this Wild West fashion where nobody oversees their work? They almost have maybe very minimal outside support in terms of external audit. And in the end, people get burned, right? And so this should be very comforting. I know it is to many of you that I've spoken with already. And supervisory status by a central bank is a key milestone in our activities. This is something November of last year, it officially began, but well before November of last year, we went through some other permutations of it, right? And in the end, we landed quite literally in Bahrain, where I'm there every day now. And the supervisory status is a very big deal. As some of you may remember, again, as far back as August 21, we communicated to regulators in the EU, including Spain, and the US, and proposed a regulatory framework, which we shared with these multiple regulators. So being under the umbrella of a regulated system, regulated by a central bank, is something that we had proposed against the overall sentiment of our industry as a whole, right? And the events of the last few months have shown the need for a regulated market, as I was saying. And we're really thrilled to be pioneering the course in this area. You know, to chart this course for us, it's a great honor. And, you know, we feel that we owe it to our community and to our users, but we also consider it an honor to get to do this. And now it is my honor also and pleasure to mention our one-of-a-kind contest. Yes. So this contest gives you a chance to participate in the naming of the new Nimbus governance token and win a reward while doing so. So this transition, again, you got to understand, we're going into a whole new world now. It's no longer this thing where someone jumps into a DEX and they start throwing some liquidity around and they play games with your token and there's no bid and ask and it's just like Wild West out there, right? Or maybe where I'm sitting, Wild East. But so we're changing the way these tokens will be managed, and we want you to help us name it. Is GNBU going to change completely? Are we going to stick with a similar naming convention? We want you to name it. And obviously there are rewards. So please check the details and I will tell you very quickly. I know that it's easy enough for you to do it, but I will tell you, we want you to suggest that idea. It could be an idea and it could be an actual name. So that's one thing. Get creative. We want you to get creative. And we know you are and you can be. Suggest an idea on how or what the new governance token should be called. Don't forget to leave your feedback on the live stream and the agenda discussed. You've got obviously the comments below, and we do want to hear from you, and we want to know different things. Tell us about the format, again, that we're using. Tell us about the interval for these streams. How often would you like to hear from us? Would you like us to do something a little bit different? Just tell us your thoughts. Comment below. You submit your entries in the comment section, so just right there. And the winner will get a Smart Staker NFT, which is very cool. And we will choose that winner on October the 4th. So maybe Christmas comes early this year for some of you, or Eid as we celebrate that in the Middle East. And we want you to take it seriously. This is your token as well, right? This is the community's token. And now that we're moving to Nimbus DAO, it is an even bigger deal because it is now becoming a functional, decentralized, autonomous organization. And this is the future. And I think any project out there that doesn't have a DAO or plans for a DAO, they should probably just shut down now, because what are they really offering in return for people's faith and time and effort, right? And so here we are giving you the chance to name it. And also write some other things down there. What other scenarios do you see us using the DAO to address? You know, again, give us your comments, share your thoughts. Really appreciate you being here. It's been a pleasure and an honor, I know, for myself, and speaking for Pedro, I know that he's really happy to be here. And he's a great guy. He shares a lot of his time with the community, and you know, it's a great approach. I commend him on that. You know, young man with a lot of energy, makes sense. Very good. And yes, Pedro, would you like to say anything before we sign off today?
No, I think that we say everything that has to be said. I just want to thank you the community. Thank you for paying attention to this. And we are here, and we will be here. For as I already said, I have already seen a detailed description of the next 3 years roadmap. Let me, as Waseem already said, is there any project that can already say this? I mean, there are a lot of projects that they are saying this. Nothing else to say, Waseem. That's all.
Absolutely. Great job. Great job. Thank you. And again, you know, we want to interact with the community as much as possible. Please, again, share your comments below. You've got obviously the Telegram chat. YouTube is not the only channel. You've got Twitter, you know, and whoever has direct contact with some of us. And NFT Console, I think, is a really unique opportunity. I have not seen it out there. We are bridging the gap. So I think that if you look at the future of DeFi, the idea that DeFi supplants traditional finance, it's a very big idea, but when you get to the implementation, it's not so simple. So players that understand this, like us at Nimbus Platform, we are working with the traditional finance players to bring these products to the table, to bridge those gaps, right? So think about a future in which we are more integrated, right? And why can't you have something that looks like a crypto bank? And this is really the future. And that's why you need a decentralized autonomous organization. And by the way, bonus for sticking around until the very end with my lengthy comments. The bonus is I want to tell you all that the DAO is under consideration. We are going to legally register it. We just haven't landed on a specific registration. So I cannot be 100% specific with it. I've got the internal auditor here. I don't want to get in trouble, but we're working on bring you that news as soon as possible. Thanks again for being here. Please participate in the contest. Comments below, and we really look forward to the next one. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, everyone. Have a nice day.